Ladies and gentlemen, I am Paul, U.S. Army combat veteran, and we are going to be taking a look at something that is extremely rare in modern warfare. This is actual footage of a air-to-air combat dogfight. Let's get into it. And we're going to break down just why air superiority is so essential in modern warfare. Let's take a look. So first off, you can see this Russian pilot is flying extremely low, or at least this is okay. So it's leaked to us from the armed forces of Ukraine. So it makes me think this is probably a Russian plane. So we can hear it's flying incredibly low, right? You can hear the pop as it gets hit with an air-to-air missile. Here is the Ukrainian fighter. You can hear obviously the soldiers recording it are wisely in a tree line, right? Especially when there's enemy aircraft overhead, you want some sort of cover. But they are pretty amped to see this fighter get taken out. Why? Well, here's the thing, guys. This is, we'll watch it again because it's pretty badass. Yeah, pretty unbelievable to see something like that recorded, right? In, you know, there used to be, there's cockpit cams, but there really isn't that much out there of air-to-air combat. It's very limited, and recorded from the ground is even rarer. So this is pretty wild. Yep, you can see, and there's the kill. I'm curious about Russian evasive tactics. If this is someone who used his chaff and flare already, if getting low to the ground was part of the aircraft's, like, as part of their evasive tactics. I don't know Russian air doctrine, and I'm really not an aircraft guy anyway. But what is really interesting is that it's worth talking about in this warfare, in modern warfare, right? The US has, and a lot of NATO countries rely on air superiority. This is the idea that you control the airspace. And once you do that, right, there's a reason these soldiers have to hunker down in this tree, because if you have enemy aircraft overhead, it is extremely hard to get out into the open and to maneuver on anyone, because someone is always watching and always ready to strike you. So if you can ensure that the skies are contested, and that's when both enemy air forces are active and engaged. And so that's what this illustrates right here, is that there's not really one side dominating the skies of Ukraine. And that means that it's good because Ukrainian forces can maneuver, but they have to be prepared to deal with aircraft coming overhead. And it means that there are obviously a lot of constraints in how they operate. Again, whatever they were doing, if they needed to get out into the open of these fields, it wasn't going to happen while this Russian aircraft was on station. Because even if all it did was spot them, Russian artillery can dial in on them and take them out, right? That aircraft can easily relay their locations. So once they have air superiority, you can see how dramatically their situation has changed. Let's say, for example, those are the only two aircraft in this general area. So right now they have air superiority. What does that mean? Not only are these ground forces free to maneuver, but they are also now have eyes in the sky that are going to feed them all the intelligence they could need. And if that aircraft has any other munitions or ordnance, and it obviously doesn't have a follow-on sortie, which it very well could, it can actually watch over them and provide cover. It can engage enemy targets that are out of range, let's say over top a hillside, are just located in places that ground-to-ground weapon systems just aren't going to be able to reach. So the advantage of air superiority for ground combatants is tremendous. And it's why the US, in every major conflict we have fought, right? The Gulf War, the invasion of Iraq, the invasion of Afghanistan, step one was to eliminate enemy air forces and then eliminate enemy air defenses. Once those two things are done, then US forces on the ground are able to operate with impunity, with a tremendous advantage of having constant eyes in the sky. Anyway, guys, I hope you've learned something about, again, why the Ukrainian Air Force and Russian Air Force are still duking it out, and why, of course, it's so important that things like air defense systems, right, Stingers, are so essential to this conflict. Anyway, guys, that is all I had. Of course, if you want the spiciest, edgiest, most intense combat videos, the kind YouTube has censored, you want to become a member of the Patreon. Thanks to my Lieutenant tier patrons. You guys make this all possible. I'll catch you guys in the next one.